to talk about startups, I've noticed quite few differences. So initially the application part itself. So the bigger companies, when you typically apply and you're just a candidate who are starting out, so one major roadblock is they expect you to have some relevant experience, or some not if not product manager experience, some relevant experience. So that is one major barrier that comes in the way. So other thing that happens in these bigger companies is so bigger companies by definition have a lot of resources at their disposal. So for every domain is again divided into subdomains, and other there are separate people taking care of these subdomains. So the task is very specific, and because there are a lot of people, you get to work on specific domains and specific places. But I've realized when I was in Ola, while it was still growing, when it was small, so what I've observed is you get to work on a lot of stuff. There is no specific domain that you're supposed to work on. You get a lot of freedom, and because the stakes are not that high when compared to the bigger companies, because you're just growing up, you are allowed to try out things.
The new age startups, especially right after 2014-15, we are seeing the new way of startups who kind of value people over their skills. They give that room of learning and provide an environment to kind of boost their learning as well as the company's growth. So then it gave me a good perspective that hey, there is this layer as well, and where actually the learning curve is really high compared to that. Of course, there are pluses and minuses of joining a big org versus a smaller startup, but then it gave me a good kind of a relief that maybe I can start with this role without an MBA and with an interesting place. Kind of opportunity really that gets on your plate, not just on paper. If you're leading a team, you're leading a team. And that's really different from a traditional big organization like maybe an Accenture or TCS or maybe even like a Dell, right? If you're working with a Series A startup with let's say 15 people, the nature of working environment and the whole attitude of each wolf of the pack is different. So I think that is the first thing about the kind of responsibilities you get to play that makes you validate about your importance and then your responsibility to kind of deliver that impact, that is, and driving companies' growth or startups' growth. That is first thing. Second thing is how it takes off and how it kind of helps your personal growth also as a career, as a personal growth. So this whole story of putting your heart and soul into it and growing it from 0 to 1 and co-benefiting it over a period of time. And we have like millions of examples of it, right? So people who have chosen to do early stage startup versus joining a very coveted job, and over a period of time, we have a success story of Zomato, right? Dipinder was working in Bain. He might have been a partner at Bain or McKinsey, but he quit that. He started something, a very, very, very old problem with a very different approach with tech, and look at the returns over a period of 10, 12 years. So I think the whole, again, the new India age success stories also really gives this fad or excitement about being a part of it. At least it gives me that context of, I want to be part of that story and I want to really contribute it to something. So I think that's another thing. Yeah.
Working at Cred was actually pretty awesome, because it was my sort of first experience with like a high growth startup. Before that I was at Samsung, but like the pace at Cred was like super, like way more than as compared to Samsung. And even like I really like the culture and the people that were in my team at Cred, right?
I come from the traditional MNC where the work culture, where the work setup is completely different when you compare with the high growth startup. So when I see it now, I don't feel any kind of a regret, so that because when you work in a startup world, you have a lot of things to experiment. The major thing which you can bet on is the kind of a pace you're working on. So for example, if you have an idea just in your mind to experiment with a particular feature with a user, you can just have a brainstorming with the stakeholders and just implement that ASAP. But in kind of a MNC, you have to set up a long process for that. That will take a lot of time to experiment that kind of a particular feature. So I believe I believe when in an early stage product management career, working at a startup really helps, because it ignites a lot of fresh ideas into your mind, which you can experiment a lot more quickly rather than comparing with the traditional MNC.
To be brutally honest, working at big companies allows you the protective shield of either maybe coasting along or not having to think things very clearly when you're doing something. Whereas now, working at a very small, extremely impactful company, and especially in a product management role, you have to keep things in your mind and always be at the lookout of what would really make the maximum impact for your company, while in a minimum amount of time. And there are essentially hard decisions that you have to make, and failures that you are obviously going to see, which is not really the case at large companies, because things are played very safely over there. And that's essentially hard, like failing at your job and then realizing that this is the place that I failed. But there's also beauty to this whole process. As one of my colleagues or mentors once told me, that you essentially get paid to learn in tech. So this is the best job in the world.